Hi, Liza. Thank you so much for being here today. So, we're on Today Love Looks Like. It's just my YouTube channel where I just get to share love and conversations all about love with the world. My mission is simple. I just want to have as many conversations as possible to give the world possibility of what love looks like because there's no one way to love. There is a limitless flavors and ways to receive and ways to give love. And the more examples we have, the more permission we can give ourselves to be love and give love and receive love. So thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait to have this conversation with you. So let's go ahead and just get started. So would you mind sharing your name, who you are, and then why you choose to be here with us today?
Oh, goodness. Okay. Liza Lomax. I am an emotional eating specialist. I help women with an X, in the battle with emotional eating, lose weight, and finally love what they see in the mirror. Right. Love. It's all about love. And me and my partner are currently in North Carolina. We're locationally independent, which just, like I said, just is a bougie way of saying we're nomadic because we can. We have no pets, no plants, no pets, no, none of that. So why not?
I love it. I love it. Dig it. Awesome. And why do you choose to be here today?
Oh, I love everything about love. Like I was going to say, I kind of said a little prior to our conversation, this conversation, that my partner says that I exude love and that it just seeps out my pores. And I'm a lover of people. I'm a lover of love. And, it was really hard for me at first with the whole COVID and the social distancing thing, because my primary love language is touch. And I love hugs and I love being in people's presence and I love the energy that people bring. And I just love being in the presence of people and just love to love them. And, um, you know, it was really hard for me to be like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I'm a feeler and, I'm also an energy healer as well. So it's like, how do I do this? How do I feel the energy? And it was just, it was fairly easy. I just had to tap into it and had to learn how to, that way pivot in that way, in that respect. And still, I still feel the love. I still, get together with people and yes, it's through Zoom, it's through other avenues. It's not in person, which is okay. I'll deal with that for right now. Um, but I can still experience that and still feel that. So I'm just, and I wasn't always like that. I didn't have, I wasn't always a lover. And, that's a lot, goes along the lines of why I do what I do and why I help other people with their struggle of self-love and self-care and making yourself priority number one.
I love that. Well, I'm so grateful that you exist in the world and you're doing this and you're supporting people in this way. It's such a beautiful way to just love people and support them. So I love to know more. So let's just go into the main conversation. And I always ask the same leading question, which is
Mm-hmm.
just, Liza, what does love look like for you today? What does, how do you receive it? How do you give it? What does it mean for you?
Oh, love to me now looks like bliss, like
Mm,
ultimate ecstasy, bliss, whether it's um, you know, a, a passing of my partner and just passing and being like, hey, where's my kiss? Like just in a passing. I mean, I know that's kind of simple, but it's like, I'm like, hey, I need some love, or hey, I kind of need a hug right now, just to kind of feel that. Love is like everywhere. I mean, it's like it's the trees, it's the plants, it's the energy, it's everywhere. It's always existed everywhere, and we just have to open our eyes and see it. And a lot of times we take things for granted, and we just think, oh, it's just going to be there, and it's like, no, whatever. And then for that respect, we don't even we we are such we're so easily, we can so easily say, I love you to every single other person around us. We can say it to our spouse, to our partner, to our kids, to everything, to our animals, to our plants, to our home, to everything. We say, I love you to so many things, yet we have the hardest time saying, I love you to ourselves. And that's one of the big things that I help women, do, is be able to love themselves unconditionally, 100%. They are number one, priority number one. What happens with that love is that we, right away when we're kids, we're told that we have to look a certain way and dress a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way. And we try to fix all these things, and we try to change all these things about us. And somewhere along the lines, we put our needs, our wants, and our desires on the back burner. Yep. Because we learn that it's selfish to take care of ourselves. It's selfish to love ourselves first. What? Selfish to love ourselves first. That's, I'm sorry, bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that. It is.
And that's exactly the message that I received when I was younger too. It's all about other people. Like, give all of yourself to other people, leave nothing for yourself. Like,
Yep. So I learned that at a very young age I was the oldest of 4. My mother suffers from mental illness, and whether she chooses to believe it or not, that's still her battle. My stepfather was hardly ever home. He worked all the time. And my dad is from another country, who I only saw on my summer vacations. So being the oldest of 4, there's not a stable environment. It's very toxic. It was very, very religious as well. And around that time, I was like, well, I'm already having, I'm realizing that I'm gay, and I'm realizing that I'm a medium, and I have all these intuitive gifts. And I'm like, how do I deal with all these things? And then I'm told that all these things are evil. And so then I need to change myself, so I need to be something else. And who's going to take care of my siblings? So I put my needs, my wants, my desires on the back burner at a really young age, and took care of everybody else around me. I mean, I was really good at taking care of other people. I'm really good at taking care of other people. But it was like, when it came to myself, it was like, I don't exist. Like, I'm just here as a vessel to take care of everybody else, to love everybody else, to love everything else. And went through my whole childhood, my teenage years, trying to fix all these things about myself. And, like I said before, prior, I did 15 years of theater acting, which had its positives and negatives. Its positives was like, I'm a very boisterous, very outgoing, very outspoken, very loud person. I get very animated, which was perfect for the stage. Yeah. Negatives is like, it taught me how to put on a mask, and it taught me how to put on a role, and it taught me how to not show my true self, not be authentic. And so I lost my authenticity. I lost who I was. I put myself in a box at a very young age. And I say myself, I did these things. I don't blame anybody. You can't blame your parents or your parents' parents or so forth and so forth. That's how they knew how to raise you. That was the only way they knew, right? So you can't put that blame on them. You have a choice. We all have a choice every single day when we wake up. We have a choice to wake up. We have a choice to get out of bed. We have a choice to go to work. We have a choice. Everything is a choice.
Yes.
Right. So we chose these paths. We chose to go this way based on our environment, the society, everything else around us. And that's just how it was. And, then, going into my, my teenage years, I was like, well, I think I need to look a certain way. So I need to look like the models. I need to look like the people in the magazines. I need to look like the people in the movies. We didn't even have social media back then, so it was, nowadays I can only imagine it's 1,000 times worse for people. Yeah. Really, with so much plastered everywhere. And so, I went through periods of my life where I starved myself, continuously over and over and over again. And it was just escalating so much that I was just like, I'm just like, F it. I'm just going to stuff myself and not feel anything, and feel my body with food instead. And, so I ate and ate and ate and ate, and I was a binge eater. And, at one point in my life, I turned to bulimia as well. So it's like, I've had them all, I've done them all, trying to find some way to like that I'm supposed to be and I'm supposed to look. And without all this time, not loving myself, obviously, we don't love ourselves when we're putting ourselves through these struggles and this trauma. And by the time I was 26, I got up to 300 pounds. And the doctor told me at that time that if I didn't lose weight, I was going to die. And kind of go back a little bit, because I was raised in such a religious household. I was told that everything that, I was and did, or whoever I was bad and it was evil. I need to change it. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just follow the norm and I'll marry a man and have a baby and have the typical, like, hetero life here. And by that time I was, when I was 300 pounds, my son was 2. And I was like, well, I want to live to see him grow older. So I'll lose the weight for him. So again, putting my needs, my wants, my desires on the back burner, not caring about myself, caring about other people, and ended up losing 105 pounds in 13 months. But I didn't change my mindset. And so then after that, I continued to yo-yo and yo-yo and yo-yo and yo-yo, and, chose, other ways, a lot of unhealthy emotional outlets I went to. I was a heavy drinker. I was a diet pill popping person. I mean, I've done every single diet imaginable out there, and, did things in my body nobody should ever do to themselves. I was sexually assaulted at one time. I had had an abortion. There was just so many things that just kind of pounded me into the ground over and over and over again. And I got to this point where I was like, I literally hit rock bottom. And I'm like, whether you believe in God, higher source, higher power, universe, whatever it is that you believe out there, I really believe God was telling me that I needed to change and something had to give. And I had to learn how to love myself, or else I wasn't going to be here anymore in this world.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, how does somebody learn how to love themselves? How does somebody learn how to take care of themselves? I'm like I said, I'm so good at taking care of other people. How do you love yourself? How does that work? And, I really believe I had at that time, it was like, I started having I started releasing a lot of toxicity in my life. So I started just letting go of a lot of things. Um, you know, just went out and studied every self-help book, every guru, anybody out there. I went through some therapy, but it just didn't click. It didn't really help. And it was like, not to downgrade therapists at all, or anybody who's in that field. It's just, I feel like when you go see a therapist, it's all about, okay, we're reliving the past and the past and the past and the past. And it's always brought up and always brought up and always brought up. And we're never brought into the present, which then can bring us into the future. And so at that time, I was like, I went out and got certifications and all these things. I started going to school for psychology, and I was like, forget this. I'm like, I want something different. It has to be something different, because I don't like the way that it's structured. I don't like the way that it's like, we're reliving the past all the time. It's like, I want to move forward. I want to get to the present. I want to get to the future. And so went out and got certification in life coaching and personal training and holistic nutrition and all these things. And so I knew I need all these tools in my tool belt, because at that point I was making this turn, and I was starting to love myself. I was like, really taking care of myself, making myself priority number one. And I knew that, my mission was to help other women do the same thing, like to get out of this, this hamster wheel cycle that we keep ourselves in over and over and over again, and to get out of that, to break free of that, and to move on and be able to make themselves priority number one. They are the most important person, loving themselves first. We can't truly love another person until we love ourselves.
Yep.
So
Can't
we
do it.
have
Can't
to
do
love
it.
ourselves. We have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first in life, first, before we help anybody else. That's what they tell us when a plane's going down. Put the oxygen mask on ourselves first and then helping others. So, you know, going through and rewiring and retraining, all those limiting beliefs, all those behaviors, all those habits, all those stories that we've essentially created since we were kids,
Yeah.
and reframing them and retraining your brain to having more positive, better habits, having healthy emotional outlets to go to, making yourself, better. And so that you're not 70, 80, 90 and still worrying about what you look like in the mirror. So I knew that I'm like, I have to help other women because I found the magic, so I've got to be the deliverer of the magic now. And so that's what I do is really help women transform them, find their authenticity again, find who they were, find who they put in a box a long time ago, who they put on the back burner, and teaching them that it's not selfish. It's very much self-preservation. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to love ourselves first before we love or care for the needs of others around us. We get it skewed. Growing up, that's how we learn that we can't do that. It's the opposite. No, it's not. We have to. We can't survive without that. We can't survive.
Yeah, I
Love is, and
agree.
love is everywhere.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And thank you so much for sharing your journey. I think that's so powerful. And there's so many parts of it that I personally resonate with. And so I'm very curious now, so now going through this and learning what you've learned and like how to love yourself. Practically, what did that look like for you? And what does it look like for you now, right? Like I love that you mentioned like, hey, a lot of it is mindset. You got to change your mindset and your beliefs, your core beliefs. And so what do those look like for you now? What changed there for you?
So, before, yeah, I wasn't, I suffered from body dysmorphia. So I would look in the mirror and I would see a monster. I've even punched mirrors before. So when I got to the point where I could see myself in the mirror and like see myself in the mirror, I was like, I didn't even believe it was me. In fact, I had to ask a person next to me, I'm like, who is that? Is that me? No, no, that's not me. Is that me? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's me. Oh, wow. And look, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, look how far I've come. Look how good I look.
Mm.
I love looking at myself in the mirror. It's not a narcissistic thing or a vain thing. It's like, I know where I've come from and I know how hard it was. And now I can look at myself and be like, look how powerful you are. Look how wonderful and amazing and brilliant you are,
Mm.
and be able to, because our reflection, we look at ourselves in the mirror every single morning. And what do? Most people go and they nitpick at every single little imperfection.
Oh yeah.
So if you can get to the point where you can look in the mirror and you see your true self and you see that beautiful light, that brilliant, amazing light, um, that's pure love. That's where the love is. And so now, yes, I can look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, dang, I look good. I'm like, yes, I'm like, I look good. In fact, I was like, not too long ago, I was, for some reason, I don't know, this thought came to my head and I had taken a shower and I got out and the place because we lived with my in-laws for a little while because of COVID.
Mhm.
Um, uh, they had this huge mirror in one of the bedrooms that we were staying in. And I remember taking a shower and I came out and, I'm comfortable walking around with no towel on. Cause that's, hey, I'm comfortable with myself. I'm comfortable with my skin. I'm comfortable with my body now. Never used to be, never, ever, ever used to be. I would never leave the bathroom until I was head to toe, like
Just wrapped up.
everything.
Mhm.
Yes. Wrapped up, or I would never even leave the house until I had a full face of makeup or hair, perfect outfit, all those kind of things. And I learned those things at a very young age to do that because that's what I thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And, so looking in the mirror then, and then now it's like, so I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was sitting on the bed and I was like, I look like one of those Renaissance paintings where those women are kind of spread out across the the table or the chair or the, whatever they call those. And they're like, just all like, like that, I'm like, I don't normally look at myself like that, but I'm like, hey, I could be like one of those Renaissance paintings,
Oh my God, I love that. I'm gonna start adopting that for myself too. I'm gonna just see
right.
myself in this lens.
Right.
Yes, I'm also a Renaissance painting.
Right. Why not?
I love that. That's
So
charming.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. So going from, there to now is a complete 180. And, yeah, it's all about love and loving other people and bringing love to the table and caring for people and taking care of people and doing what we can for this world and making this world a better place. But it all starts with us first, and it all starts inside here. It all starts inside us,
oh,
first. We have to have that first before anything else. And that was a huge lesson that I had to learn.
yeah.
And that's a lesson we all need to learn,
It's the
that
most
it
powerful
only,
lesson. Yeah,
yes,
the
yes,
most powerful. And
yeah.
well, now I'm really curious too, because everything does change once you tap into that for yourself, right? And so now I'm curious, like, how does it look like for you? Now that you have this genuine, authentic love for yourself, how has the love changed to when you give it to other people?
I can give more of myself. I'm not apprehensive. I'm not holding back. I'm being my real, authentic self. I tell people, I'm like, when they say, oh, what are 3 words to describe you? My first one is always authenticity,
Mm,
because I'm, that's me. I'm real, I'm raw, I'm honest, I'm straightforward. I tell it like it is. I'm not a bullshitter. I'm like, I'm just going to say, hey, this or this, I mean, so it's, having that confidence too, being confident and standing in your space, standing in your power, and having that strength, is what's needed to really truly love yourself, and to give yourself to others. So it's like, I feel like I can give myself more to others, and I can give, I don't have to hide behind a mask. I don't have to hide behind a role, I mean, I can be my true authentic me.
yeah. And that in itself is everything, right? Like, at least the thing that I've come to realize for myself, like when I reflect back to my own journey and what has really helped me create the most transformation for myself, it's all the people around me who are such vibrant, strong examples of what's possible, right? Like the people that I was like, oh, that person is existing in the world in a very different way. They radiate in a whole different way. I see how other people see them. I see what they're doing. And like, it breaks my brain because I can't connect to that. Like, I'm not there yet. But with those
Right.
people, they gave me permission to believe that something so much more was possible for me. So, one, I want to take the moment to acknowledge that within you because I see that so much in you. Like you mentioned, you just have this vibrant energy and your authenticity just radiates and shines. And just you being you, like if that's even like the extent to what you did in the world, that in itself has so much impact, and people just have to see it, just be in the energy of it to give themselves permission to be like, oh, something else is possible here. And I think you did
Mm-hmm.
that so beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for just shining your light. And then you take it a step further, right? And you actually like actively go help women with an X and
Yep.
really like share that light in a really practical way. Like I love that. I love your whole story. So thank you so much for sharing and just being here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so
It's been quite a journey. It's like, you don't, um, when you're not loving yourself and you're not caring for yourself and you're not taking care of yourself,
yeah,
and who's going to take care of you,
yeah.
if you're the caregiver, because I was the caregiver, I was the doormat, I was the people pleaser. I did for everybody else. I based my worth on what other people thought of me. And if they treated me like garbage, I thought it was garbage.
Mhm.
And, put myself in so many toxic situations and put myself in so many toxic relationships, one after another, and did so many things because I thought that's what I was worth. That's all that I was worth. And, knowing now, it's like, no, I'm like, that's not worthy. I mean, that's not, no, it's like, that's not loving yourself. That's not fully taking care of yourself. But we get stuck in I say the hamster wheels for so many years. They're just constantly going around and around and around, just the motions, just going through the motions, just doing their thing, thinking that they have to do this, or they have to do this, or they have to be like this, or dress like this, or act like this, or talk like this. And it's like, no, you don't have to. And every once in a while, somebody breaks through that mold and is like, and makes a significant change through their lives. And I'm glad that I'm there to help facilitate those changes for people, to break through that and realize that, yes, I am prior number one. I have to love me first, and before I can love anybody else.
I love that. And yeah, so now I'm curious too. So like when you're helping people through this journey for themselves, like what do you find most often, and what's a really practical way to get people on the journey to loving themselves?
I mean, most people, we learn that we're not worthy, and we're not special enough, and we're not beautiful enough, because we have to change these things about us
Yeah.
ourselves. We have to constantly, change ourselves and be something different, and be this specific mold and stuff for people. So a lot of people just don't think that they're even worth it. They're not worthy of it. Some of the things so I do a talk called Making the Mirror Your Friend, which people love, because it's just like that. How do I make the mirror my friend?
Yeah.
How can I look in the mirror, and instead of nitpicking at every single little imperfection, how can I look in the mirror and be like, dang, I look good. So, or like, wow, look how wonderful, beautiful, brilliant I am. So the things that happen to us, like, the thing about the subconscious in our mind is that anything our conscious mind tells our subconscious believes it to be true
Mhm.
every single time. So if you've been telling yourself you're ugly, fat, stupid, and disgusting your whole life, that's what you're going to believe. Those are your beliefs. So anytime anybody compliments you, says something nice to you, is nice to you, or does anything for you, you're going to completely reject it. Like, oh, you got this nice shirt on. Somebody says, oh, that's a great shirt. I really like that. Oh, this shirt, it's old, it's faded, it's run down. I'm 3 sizes too big, it's too small. You make all these excuses not to accept that compliment. Instead of saying, yes, thank you. This shirt is amazing and I'm amazing. Thank you. Instead of saying something like that, we turn to all those like, no, because your subconscious reminds you, no, 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 remember, you told us that we are ugly, fat, stupid, and disgusting. So we can never accept a compliment. We can never accept that. So you're never going to be able to fully love yourself, fully be authentic, fully be you, until you can change that mindset, until you can change those thoughts, those patterns, those beliefs, those habits. Everything else is going to be temporary in life. Yeah, you'll lose weight. You might lose weight, but then you'll gain it back. You'll lose weight, then you'll gain it back. So we're constantly on this hamster wheel of like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this thing, and then it's not going to work for me. So then what am I going to do? That negative self-talk is going to hit me, and so I'm going to go round and round and round in my head, and I'm going to tell myself that, oh, I'm ugly, fat, stupid, and disgusting. And then that raises your stress and your cortisol, stress and anxiety levels, which then raises your cortisol levels, which then creates fat in the midsection. So women stay on this constant yo-yo rabbit, hamster wheel of yo-yo dieting, because they're stuck in that trap of, they're setting themselves up for right away for failure, because they're thinking, if nothing changes or nothing sticks, or I don't see any kind of success in like 2 weeks, then I'm just going to give up.
Mm.
So they're already setting themselves up for failure. So then they continuously sit, and then, like, for instance, or like prime example, what's coming up January 1st? What does everybody do? They go out and set all these resolutions, New Year's resolution. Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to find love. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Resolutions is just setting us up for failure, because right away we say, okay, if I'm not going to see we see, because we set this in our subconscious, right away, if I don't see any kind of results in like 2 weeks, I'm just going to give up. So they're gung-ho, they get in the gym and they're working out and they're doing their thing. And then 2 weeks go by and they're like, I haven't noticed anything. Nobody's complimented me. Nobody's noticed anything. I haven't had any changes. So I'm just going to give up. And then they spend the entire year putting themselves down because they failed. It's not their fault. It's because they've trained their subconscious to believe that they're going to fail at every single thing that they do. So reframing those thoughts and retraining your brain to, saying, I'm beautiful, brilliant, amazing, fantastic. I'm going to do this. I am going to succeed. I am going to complete this. I am going to lose weight. I am going to do this. So I am, again, are two of the most powerful words in the English language.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Because because anything you put on the other side of that has a huge negative or positive effect on how you feel. So again, if you've been telling yourself, I'm ugly, fat, stupid, and disgusting your whole life, that's all that you're going to believe is I am ugly, I am fat, I am stupid, I'm disgusting. Whereas if you say, I am beautiful, I am brilliant, I am amazing, I am stunning, I am a genius, I am so good at doing X, Y, and Z. What happens is your body changes. You are a little bit lighter, you're brighter. The energy around you, the energy you project around you it gets better. There's that saying, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy, which is completely true.
Yep.
If you aren't happy, then nobody else around you is not going to be happy. It's like if you're having a bad day and you go to the mirror every single morning and say, oh God, look at you. Ugh, you just look so horrible. You know what? You're going to have a horrible day, whether you like it or not, because you just reinforced that I'm going to have a horrible day. And so then you're going to go through the whole day and you're going to wonder why you're picking fights with people. You're not getting your work done on time, or you're missing these calls, or, you get cut off on the side of the road, on the road or something while you're driving. You're just like, what is this going on? I'm having a horrible day. Well, because you started your day right away saying, I'm horrible.
Yep.
So those words, those thoughts, everything that we say to ourselves has a huge impact on how we feel. So just saying I am, and having a positive, some sort of positive thing after that helps a little bit. It just helps. It gets you. It's just a little nugget, but it kind of gets you on that path. Another thing you can do is what I do is called the I love you challenge. And the I love you challenge is actually going to the mirror every single morning and saying, I love you. Like I said before, most people cannot say I love you to themselves. So I challenge people all the time, go into the mirror, doing it for 5 days, and see how your body, see how you feel. I guarantee you're going to feel a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter. You're going to probably have a really great week. Things are going to go really well. Things are going to be really positive. You're going to, people around you are going to be really, happy and uplifted. Just saying I love you has that huge impact. I mean, it makes you feel better. Gives you more confidence. It makes you feel more successful. You get work done, you get stuff done. The energy around you is better. People around you resonate with you better. Just saying I love you.
So simple.
So it is so simple, yet we think it's so hard.
Yeah, I agree 1,000,000,000% with everything you shared, because it's true. It's like thoughts are energy, energy creates, and whatever
Nice.
energy you're in, right? Like the emotional frequency that you're in, that's gonna drive the entire show. It's gonna drive everything you think. It's gonna drive everything that even occurs to you to do, the actions that you're taking, and that's how you create your life, right? So thank you
Yes.
so much for just giving so eloquently voice to that, where it's like, hey, like just pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
am, what
Yeah.
follows after that? And that's what you're creating. Like as soon as you think it, you've created it for yourself, right?
Right.
Oh,
Right. So, all those things, those are just like tools. Those are just like little nuggets that I use. So, kind of going back to the whole emotional eating part of it,
yes.
the number one thing that we go to is food.
Mhm.
We go to food for everything, whether we're having a great day, a bad day, a sad day. It's like, oh, we got an, say, it's a kid, you got an A on a report card. Oh, let's go have ice cream,
Yep.
you know, or,
It's
oh, you're not feeling very well. Let's go have ice cream. Or, oh, you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Let's have ice cream. So you associate food with all these emotions. And so another thing is that we're told really young that we can't be emotional. We can't, somebody who identifies as man, it's like they're told they have to be strong, they have to be tough, they have to be, have to, be the king of the castle and whatever. And then for people who identify as women, they're like, don't be emotional. You can't show your emotions. You'll be construed as something else, So we learn that we're not supposed to show our emotions. So when emotions start to rise, we fill them with food every single time. So every single person, if you say no, you're lying to yourself. Every single person has some form of emotional eating. Whether it's serious or small, we all turn to food. And with the pandemic, and
Yeah,
that's happening for everybody, we've
amplifies the
all
whole
gone through this
thing.
change. Yes. And we're grieving and we're sad. And we've had a lot of people have had to pivot and had to change, and things are happening. The number one thing we turn to is food. Food is everywhere. It's ready, available everywhere. And a lot of these beliefs get instilled in our brains when we're kids, because you either come from a place of lack or a place of abundance. So if you came from a place of abundance, food was always there. It was always available. You always had a pantry full of food. Your mom was always like, making your school lunches with tons of food, ding dongs, Twinkies, sandwiches, whatever. It was like everything was there, Doritos, whatever. So you always had food. So you're always like, well, it's always there. So I'm going to eat as much as I want because it's always here and I have an abundance of it. And then you come from a place of lack, where whatever was on the dinner table, if you did not get that food, you don't know where your next meal came from, or you didn't get any food. So then you learn how to like, oh, I got to eat it. I got to eat it. I got to eat it as fast as I can because I don't know when my next meal is coming, or I don't know what I'm going to be able to eat next.
Yep.
So we learn those, again, we learn those beliefs at a very young age, that we have to, we have to eat, we have to eat, we have to eat. Well, we have to eat to survive, but we also learn that if we're feeling an emotion, we turn to food. We go to a party, we're like, oh, we get to eat cupcakes and cake, and we're so excited we get to eat all this food. And then we get home, or we start to drive home, we get home, and then we're like, why did I do that? Why did I eat all that stuff? I know I shouldn't have eaten that stuff. Then comes a negative self-talk.
Yep.
Then that raises your stress and anxiety. Then that raises your cortisol levels. Then that creates the fat in the midsection. So we wonder why we're gaining weight. So if we don't learn to deal with our emotions, to actually feel our emotions and not keep pushing them down all the time, then we get healthier, we get better. We have, we're on the road to success. We're on the road to where we're supposed to be. We're not in that hamster wheel all the time,
I love that.
over and over.
Yeah, that's exactly how I hold it. It's like master your emotions, master your life. Like everything's
Yeah.
come from the emotional space that you're in. I feel like I can talk to you way longer than this. This has been an
Right, I
incredible
know.
conversation. And
Right.
you've shared so many brilliant things that are also very practical, like takeaways that people can take away and like start implementing, right? So actually let's to kind of wrap up this conversation, I would love to ask you, based on everything that we've talked about, everything that you've shared, like what are the key takeaways that people can take from everything and start implementing in their life that would have a huge impact?
Well, learning that to take care of yourself is not selfish, it's
Yes.
self-preservation. You have to make yourself priority number one. Um, to go to that mirror every single morning and tell yourself, I love you. I guarantee you're going to have a great day every time you do that. Learning to say, I am, brilliant, smart, beautiful, whatever your I ams are. So really taking that to heart, whether you want to make them affirmations or whatever. I mean, just saying I am and having some positive thing will guarantee you'll have a better day. So just doing those three simple little things, taking care of yourself, making yourself priority number one, loving yourself first before you loving, it's not the other way around. Yeah, you can love another person, but you aren't truly giving yourself, you aren't truly really loving them because you're not loving yourself first. So just those are three simple things.
I love it. Simple, not easy, but just implement. And it has the capacity to change your entire world, your entire life. Ah,
Mhm.
Liza, it has been such an honor and pleasure to just sit here with you today and talk to you and get to learn more about you. This is actually the first time we speak, and I already adore you as a human being in the world.
Oh, I adore you. I just want to give you a big hug. I want to hug you.
Yeah, so I'm just grateful that we got introduced, that we got to have this conversation. And again, right, like just I want to honor you for being the light and joy that you are in the world, and just being an example like has such a huge impact. And now you get to share it here with my audience, and then just with me. Like I'm very inspired just from this conversation. So thank you for spending
You're
an
welcome,
hour
welcome,
with me
welcome.
and just being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sweet. So this is the end of this episode. Every episode on Fridays for Today Love Looks Like. So thank you again, and until next Friday for a new episode. Awesome. Thanks, Liza.
Mwah.